So we're starting off our tour of the museums here in downtown Guadalajara, walking along the centro towards the Instituto Cabañas, way down that way. Guadalajara is a city of many museums, all of which are very much worth it. There's lots of art museums, history museums, all kinds of different places that you can visit. So we're gonna start with one of its most iconic, the Museo Cabañas, located in the building of the old hospice, which used to take care of the needy. This is a very nice walk to do along the central. You're passing all these restaurants, shops, tiny little eateries, and it's just a very fun environment to be in. This city is very walkable, especially here in the downtown. Tons of people here, you know, always saying hi. So stay tuned for what we're gonna see in this video. We're gonna see some breathtaking murals, some impressive works of art, some historical artifacts in some of these different museums, and not to mention the stunning architecture in which all of these artifacts are housed. So let's get started with our exploration. Let's go! So Guadalajara has always really been considered as one of the center of the arts here in Mexico. It's a very cultural city, one where art, architecture, history all meld together to form this very unique experience of Mexico. So totally recommendable that you guys include this on your travel bucket list for Mexico, especially for central Mexico. So this fine building in the back is the old Hospicio Cabañas, now the Museo Cabañas. This is one of Guadalajara's main art museums here in the city. This is one of the best things that you can come and see here in the city if you're into culture and especially the bohemian and artistic scene. It always has these rotating exhibits, but also some of its iconic permanent exhibits like the murals of José Clemente Orozco, which are inside. And outside here in this plaza, this wide plaza, you have these statues by the artist Alejandro Colunga, which are these seats, very iconic of the city of Guadalajara. You have some of these also in Puerto Vallarta, which if you've been keeping up with some of our previous videos, you have seen along the Malecón. So these very surreal statues where you can sit down and have somebody take a picture of you with these magnificent works of art. So, I mean, very surreal, but very cool. So you can sit down and get a really cool selfie. It's like having acid nightmares, man. It's just so surreal. Look at this. It really will give you nightmares if you ponder too much about them. Kind of want to leave like an offering or something, you know, like a chicken or something to these like gods of some other dimension. All right, let's jump right in. So this building that we're going into, the old hospice building, holds some of Mexico's most iconic muralist art right here. So this is going to be a real treat. I really recommend you guys come and see this. Incredible. Just look at this. So the murals within this hall are one of José Clemente Orozco's greatest masterpieces. These are beautiful, incredible works of art. It's really worth it to come here and get the guided tour. They also have an audio tour here. So there's just so much symbolism and history and culture mixed in among the murals here. So it's very much worth it to come here and learn about like what this all means. Let's remember that the murals here were meant to educate the masses, the illiterate masses, just by watching and observing the symbolisms on the mural walls. So this iconic mural here at the top of the hall here is José Clemente Orozco's masterpiece, and it's called The Burning Man, or The Man on Fire, because of the subject matter that it has. And it was painted in 1938, so a time of great strife in Mexico and the world in general, especially in Mexico, where you're grappling with the after effects of the revolution and social change. So all just very indicative of like the time that the painter lived. A truly remarkable work of art. The Museo Cabañas is one of the most popular art museums in the city, so apart from its iconic murals, the 57 murals by José Clemente Orozco, you also have these rotating and temporary exhibitions that they have here, in addition to the building itself being just a very, very beautiful structure. And can you hear the singing of the birds behind it? We are outside the MUSA, the University of Guadalajara's Museum of Art, outside of this beautiful, beautiful building. Inside of this museum are plenty of different beautiful artworks, including some very famous murals by José Clemente Orozco, a native-born Mexican muralist who was a contemporary of Diego Rivera and David Alfaro Siqueiros. So let's go in, see some of these works. So this area of the museum is actually closed today for renovations. They're taking down some of the artwork and they are restoring it. They didn't allow me to film that process, but they did allow me to come in and show you the murals that are here, the Orozco murals, and they are just absolutely mind-blowingly impressive. Just look at this. The Mexican muralist movement was heavily influenced by the Mexican Revolution, so it has a lot of these socialist themes, with themes of the working class oppressed and breaking free of its chains, the people, voicing their suffering and enacting change into the world. So these works of art, which are also notoriously difficult to do because you have to really prepare the whole space for it to be a lasting work of art, and also it's very hard to paint on the actual walls, and it's a very painstaking process where if you make a mistake, it's there forever. So just this work of art just really speaks to that sentiment and those ideals of this movement that plastered its values on the walls of Mexican institutions all over the country. An absolutely stunning and amazing work of art. So Orozco's work is very notorious for its bold traces and determined lines, which you can really see in the painting here behind me in this mural. and just that strong like detail with which he paints these like stark images of starving people and the huddled masses like yearning for something else. Totally worth coming to the museum just for this. That was absolutely incredible that they allowed me in while they were doing that restoration work. It really just goes to show that if you don't ask for things, you just don't get them handed to you. So always be curious and always look for a way in. So MUSA has rotating art exhibits, and this exhibit is about the golden age of Mexican cinema and all these classic Mexican movies that were produced here either by Mexicans themselves or exiles from Europe who ended up in Mexico during and after the Second World War. So these are just one of the many kinds of works of art that you can come and appreciate and learn about when you come into this museum. So we're here at the top part of the museum where we have this painting that the guard is telling me is from Picasso's nephew. I mean, you can kind of see like that, relatively similar influence. Jacob Villaton. We're gonna have to look him up. You guys want to know anything about him? Put some comments in down below. And so this is a part of the museum's actual collection. It's a part of the rotating exhibition, so you always have these different works of art that are put out. It's a very varied exposition, art show. I really like how this part of the exposition was curated. These statues are by Alejandro Colunga, who is the artist who did the same statues that are outside of the Museo Cabañas, the famous Guadalajara seating statues. So these are from him too. You really have this like curated, like very kind of like vampire-esque like tomb here with this installation and like the paintings here. Very dark, very moody. I really love how it was curated. I love this work of art. So this kind of art is very much a Huichol style of art. Either the artist is Huichol or he is inspired by the Huichol art. So the Huichols are people who inhabit Jalisco and some of the surrounding states, and they are very well known for their wool tapestries. So the inclusion of this in the museum is an amazing piece that like really brings out the cultural heritage of the state here in Jalisco. This work of art is a masterpiece. Let's see who the artist is. This is by Gabriel Flores, 1978. Wow. I really love the style of the painting, like the heavy symbolisms in it, like these like emotions, how the color palette just really brings out like this range of emotions. It gives it like this mood. Just amazing, amazing. This guy, I mean, to me looks kind of like a Spaniard, like a conquistador, maybe getting dragged down by like the sins of the past. There is a galleon here burning in the back, and just all these masses. It's a very common theme in Mexican art to deal with like the conquista and colonialism. I mean, of course, the country has a huge history of it. This was an amazing museum, but I am ready for the next one. We're gonna see how many museums we can cram within a couple of hours. So gotta run because this is one of the furthest ones. So we're gonna go back towards the Centro and see if we can get in a few more. So we are back in the Centro here. We're passing the French kiosk right by us, and we're going towards the State Palace right behind me, because this is the site of some other very famous murals which we are going to see. So just some general tips for you when you actually come and visit the museums. Most of the museums are going to be closed on Mondays, so that's why I had to wait until now, which is Tuesday, to actually go out and see some of these museums. So a lot of these museums are free, so it's an amazing opportunity to really get immersed in the culture and the history of Mexico, while also not breaking your bank. So really good activity to do, very recommendable. What I recommend that you should do is to open up Google Maps, click museums, search for museums, and just save the ones that you want to go to. There's plenty of them. There's so many, too many to do within a single video. I would need probably several weeks to do all of them. Everything ranging from a torture museum to history museums, art museums, and then within individual places like the State Palace, you have individual works of art that are also worth seeing. So just something to bear in mind when going out on a museum tour of the city. I'm actually pretty excited to see these. This has got to be one of the most impressive murals I have ever seen. So this mural is representing Miguel Hidalgo, who started the Mexican independence movement. So of course it has to find its way into Jalisco State Palace. Just an awe-inspiring work of art here that just has, again, many of these political overtones, the symbolisms of the bayonets, piercing the bodies of the workers, the red flags. Obviously many of these artists were socialists and communists, so of course you find the red flags of revolution up here, depicting the struggle of the masses. So, and it's also time, because you can see here in the back all these figures representing the Nazis, fascism, and all these different things that all these artists fought against. Many of these artists were even soldiers themselves who fought either in the Mexican Revolution or the Spanish Civil War against fascism. Puede ser, no sé si una bandera, una araña, no sé, a un lado de la escalera, para que se sepa que por ahí es. So we are now inside Jalisco's state legislature, and you can see behind me there's more murals here with more figures from the Mexican independence movement, Mexican history, just lining the top of the Senate chamber. So this is absolutely crazy that we can just come in here and see all of this. Going into this building was so worth it just for that mural. It's such a famous mural throughout Mexico, and it's one of the best and most representative works of José Clemente Orozco, again one of the most representative artists of Mexican muralism. So really worth a visit. It's free, just step in and boom, you're there, you're watching, you're seeing it. So the whole idea behind muralism is that at the time that these artists were working in all of these public institutions, a lot of Mexicans were illiterate. So this was a very popular movement that which had the aim of creating this very pictorial way of indoctrinating the masses and of, you know, showcasing history, like Mexican history, like the struggle against oppression, colonialism, greed, corruption, all these different events in Mexican history in a way that people who could not read would very easily understand by going into these public buildings and observing these paintings. So right in front of the rotunda of illustrious people from Jalisco, Jaliscienses, you can find the Regional Museum of Guadalajara. So this has a lot of different exhibits about the history of Jalisco as a state and Guadalajara as a city. So very interesting if you're like a history buff just like I am. So let's go in. Also, very beautiful building. So in addition to different permanent exhibits here in the Regional Museum, they also have temporary exhibits like these ones showcasing chinaware, plates and vessels from all over the world that were used here in Mexico. So just, you know, always keeping it interesting, like having like a nice rotation of different exhibits. Beautiful. The Regional Museum has a really nice exhibits about the history of the indigenous peoples who originally settled here in the Jalisco region, especially around Guadalajara. And it also has some exhibits on the paleontology of the region, and oh my god, that is a mammoth. I feel that children in particular would be so drawn to this museum. I mean, how can you not with like all these like different artifacts? This amazing skeleton of the mammoth. Really fascinating and stimulating place to bring your kids if you're here with them in Guadalajara. They have some very incredible pieces here in the museum, including this beautiful painting of the Battle of Puebla, also known as the Battle of Cinco de Mayo. And you guys are familiar with it. And just like all these different portraits, cannons, pieces of literature from like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's like very insane. My god, that was such an impressive museum. A really nice collection of artifacts, just kind of like random artifacts from like all different periods of Mexican history. So really nice place to go and get a sense of just who inhabited these lands in the past, just kind of how life was for them way back when. So although we try to do the impossible to show you everything in this magnificent city of Guadalajara, it is not doable to show absolutely everything that there is to do here in the downtown. But thank you for accompanying me on this journey of exploration and discovering this incredible city, which should totally make your travel bucket list for Mexico if it's not on it already. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video of some of Guadalajara's most amazing museums. It really is very much worth it to visit some of these incredible, amazing places and just explore the rich history and legacy of Mexican culture. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel. It keeps us growing this incredible community of ramblers and rovers just like yourselves. Until our next adventures, adios amigos. Keep on rambling and roving. This guy says hi, by the way.